It sounds so exciting. And I remember last year we were talking about sort of the regulators and what they might be doing. And here, again, it's sort of the top of mind issue. I remember having a conversation years ago with someone who said, if we started over from a blank sheet of paper, the regulatory regime wouldn't look anything like what it is now because we've added a piece and we've added a piece.
Yeah.
Is there a potential with this new suite of treatments that are coming online? Maybe there is an opportunity to actually start fresh and put in regulations on a case-by-case basis that matter.
It's interesting because it's hard to pass a set of regulations. What it's not as hard to do is to draft good guidance and provide information to industry. So what we're starting to see is the Small Business Administration within FDA. We're starting to see other parts of FDA produce webinars where reviewers from CBER are actually engaging with participants in the webinar, presenting case studies and answering their questions. That didn't happen 5 and 10 years ago. When the biotech industry was first born, for example, you met with the regulators privately, you dealt with your issues privately. There was no such media or platform to be able to do that. Today, you can go to a webinar and hear 10 other companies that are dealing with the same issues you are, ask questions openly in a webinar with FDA, and actually get advice and answers.
And I wonder if some of that is because it is so new, we're all figuring out the right answer
It
together instead of there being a barrier between, hey, you're acting in the wrong way and you need to comply with this standard.
It is. And I think the other thing that the regulators are understanding is these new therapies are treating diseases you couldn't treat, right? There are clinical studies going on right now in Angelman syndrome. A child is developmentally challenged, will never develop past 3 to 6 years of age, and there's a gene therapy that is moving further and further into clinical development that may change the life of a child with that genetically oriented disorder. It's a very interesting time, and I think what the regulators see is that in this space of gene and cell therapy, we have a client that we're just starting to work with, and they have 6 different gene therapies. They're looking at type 2 diabetes. They're looking at Parkinson's disease. They're looking at Alzheimer's, and I don't remember off the top of my head the 2 other disease states, but it's absolutely staggering. When you think about the fact that you are going to treat somebody for Parkinson's disease genetically and that the disease will be gone and managed, you have no way with classical pharmaceuticals today to do that.
No.
You can slow the disease down, you can try to treat the symptoms, you can introduce physical therapy, but you can't make it go away. These guys may make it go away.
And again, it's so exciting, and to think that the breakthrough really is looking at each individual patient, how has this happened to you, and how can we fix it, which of course involves an entirely different path to treatment.
Yeah, the idea of personalized vaccines for cancers, we take a sample of your tissue, the cancer tumor, we understand its total genetic makeup, we develop a vaccine to teach your immune system to look for those cells. We operate, we do radiation, we might do immuno or chemo to shrink the tumors, change the size of the mass. But when we're done with all of that, to make sure that there are no resident cells and that this won't come back and metastasize, we give you a vaccine. And that vaccine tells your immune system, look for that guy that caused you trouble last time and don't let it come back.
Incredible.
It's amazing.
And again, I come to the idea of 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would build a factory for medicine.
We would.
And today, it's going to be every, hospital or every state is going to have a machine that takes a human sample and outputs a single treatment for that one patient. It's an amazing idea.
Exactly. There's a firm here that we've talked to a little bit called Smart Labs. And they have, if you think about how when you move, you rent a pod, you put everything in it, they have modular sterile manufacturing. Mm-hmm. It can be sized, it can be scoped, it can be set up so that you could do very small batches, one-of-a-kind batches. You could do larger volumes. You could do it in your own facility. You can go to their facilities. So if you're a venture capital startup company and you want to make a novel gene therapy, you can partner with someone like that, and you can take your product there and never have to contemplate bricks and mortar.